Kykar wins Fury versus Yarok the Desecrated. A bunch of lands I'm not going to turn my nose up at. We'd rather have rocks in hand as well, but yeah, we can't guarantee getting into those with a mulligan, so we'll just keep this. Grab ourselves a Steam Vents in tapped and pass over to Yarok and hope that we don't get beaten too severely. Alright, a Brainstorm coming in a turn too late here. Definitely would have saved that fetch land if I'd known we were going to get into Brainstorm, but not to worry. Let's just Brainstorm now. We might want to cast a Soul Ring or something like that. Alright, yeah. Definitely got into Brainstorm a turn too early because we could have held up Remand this turn. Let's just throw a couple of Pain lands on top. Drop a Plateau. And we'll pass to our opponent. Okay, well at least our opponent isn't playing anything. We'll get down Volcanic Island and hold up the Remand. So us playing a turn behind hasn't necessarily hurt us this game. And Elvish Rejuvenator, look at the top 5 cards, put a land onto the battlefield tapped, the rest on the bottom. Do they have black mana to remove Kykar? You know what, let's Remand that to keep them off a land. Because if they get into a land off of that, then it means that Yarok's coming down next turn. And we're hoping to, we're hoping to draw into a counterspell for Yarok once we've gotten our Kykar into play. So let's just risk getting down Kykar. And then we have to hope that our opponent doesn't have removal here. It is a lot to ask against a Sultai deck. Okay, not removal, just getting into Ganti, Lord of Luxury. And they exile one of our cards face down, so we'll have to see if we manage to find out what that is this game. Let's get Reflecting Pool on the go, and I think we're just, as much as I'd love to get down Divine Visitation, I'd rather hold up the Disallow, so let's just go in at our opponent. Kykar is a flyer, so we can go straight over the Ganti. Alright, a Mana Crypt from our opponent. We can Vandal Blast that, so I'm not going to counter. I'm assuming they're going to go straight in for their commander here. Oh, and they get a land as well. Going in with Ganti first of all. We will allow it. And then a Wood Elves we are not going to counter. But they might as well play Wood Elves because this will put them at 5 mana. And then they can play Yarok after this, if they want to. A Solemn Simulacrum, so they're missing out on ETB triggers here. Yeah, we'll just allow that as well. Unfortunately, Vandal Blast is not an instant, so just getting into nothing but lands at this point. We'll go in for the Vandal Blast first of all. Get rid of that Mana Crypt. And that puts our opponent at 3, 6, yeah, they're still at 7 mana, that's not awful. We could go for Divine Visitation and then Cyclonic Rift the turn after, but I want to hold up this Disallow first because our opponent is playing around it. So let's swing in with Kykar. And we will leave it at that, I think. Don't think I have the Leyline of Anticipation in this deck, actually, and that might be a good one to include, because casting something like this at the end of our opponent's turn would be way better than waiting to do it on our own turn. Just taking the hit here and going down to 22. Oh, then Cavern of Souls. Did not expect Cavern of Souls. That ruins our plans a little bit. So there is Yarok the Desecrated. And then it's the Elvish Rejuvenator. I think we're best just waiting for something else to counter at this point. They'll get a couple of triggers off of that though. Yeah, not destined to win this one apparently. Going straight in for a Gaia's Cradle. Followed by a Volrath's Stronghold, so that it's not as though they're just getting boring basics out of that. They're managing to grab themselves some powerful utility lands there. And we don't even have enough mana to Rift. Let's crack the Misty Rainforest. Grab ourselves a Hollowed Fountain in tapped. Alright, let's drop a land first of all. I think it's just a case of trying to outrace our opponent at this point. If we can force them to board wipe, it wouldn't necessarily be the worst thing. I don't like being unable to hold on to counter magic, but I suppose we could hold on to the counter magic still. If we sacrifice a spirit, we'll get into an angel, and we can still go for the disallow. Yeah, we'll just hold on to Serum Visions for now. Let's swing in with these two. And then we're on the Cyclonic Rift plan to hopefully slow down our opponent enough to not be able to outrace us. Oh, and I didn't realise before, I didn't point that out, that the Mana Crypt that our opponent played was ours off of the Gonti, so that's well worth noting. So our opponent probably still has a Mana Crypt in the deck. Let's attempt to counter here. We'll sacrifice the tapped spirit. Play the disallow to counter the Reclamation Sage. If we allow it to enter, they'll get double triggers, and we can only counter one of the triggers, plus they'll be left with a 2/1, so we'll just counter the actual spell here. And we do get into an angel for that. Then it's shared summons. They may have a couple more enter the battlefield, destroy and enchantment effects. Alright, they've gone in for an E-Witness and a Sylvan Primordial, which can get rid of our Divine Visitation. That is 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7 after Misty Rainforest has resolved. So that's too bad for us. We were just shy on a point of mana previously, and our opponent has just enough here. There is the Sylvan Primordial, no doubt going after the Divine Visitation. They'll get double triggers here. They can grab the Reflecting Pool as well. And with each of those triggers, they get a land as well. So blowing up one of our lands, they get two of their own, and they get rid of an enchantment as well. Sylvan Primordial is a pretty good card if you weren't aware already. I think it's still banned in multiplayer actually. Deciding not to swing in, curiously. Alright, Narset Parter of Veils. Let's drop this down. How much can we do this turn? We could overload Cyclonic Rift during our opponent's turn, because I think they're going to cast the Eternal Witness. And if they cast Eternal Witness, they might think they're getting 2 triggers, but they'll only get 1. And then they'll be down 3 mana to recast all their stuff. Yeah, let's go for Serum Visions first. And then we can sacrifice a spirit to get Cyclonic Rift on the go. Draw into a Sol Ring, and we've got a couple of lands on top. Yeah, I don't think we really want lands, to be honest. So let's dump both of those on the bottom. And then thanks to Sol Ring, we actually don't need to sacrifice a spirit now to get the Cyclonic Rift on the go. Swing in with our... No, we will not swing in with our evasive creatures. Forgot that the Primordial has reach. So we will just leave it at that and wait to play our Cyclonic Rift. Now, because our opponent has the Guy's Cradle held up... Oh, Primeval Titan, yeah. Well, it serves me right. I've played Primeval Titan plenty of times against my opponents in my Yarok deck. Anyway, what I was saying was, because of the Guy's Cradle, we're going to have to wait until combat to Cyclonic Rift, because they'd just be able to tap the Cradle in response and use all the mana to recast all their stuff. If we Rift after Guy's Cradle is not held up, they've got 6 mana left. Field of the Dead. Well, I don't mind getting rid of some tokens, which we will do with the Cyclonic Rift. And they went for Nykthos, Shrine to Nyx as well. And then with the other Primeval Titan trigger, it is an Ancient Tomb and a Temple of the False God, so no trouble getting into lands this game. Our opponent has plenty of mana to play with now. and they've tapped their Gaia's Cradle in response. All they're going to get here is Rex Sage and Shared Summons. They're doing a lot of stuff in the first main phase before combat, which is pretty good for us because it means that if we riff them, they can't recast everything in the second main, if you know what I mean. So this is looking not as bad as it could for us, but it is looking pretty bad still. Agent of Treachery and Regal Force. Yeah, Regal Force coming down is not good. Thankfully, the Agent of Treachery costs 7 mana, and they've only got 6 mana held up. I don't know if they've actually made a land yet, though. I don't think they have made a land, so they'll probably be able to play one and steal away our Kykar, which we will let them do because when we Cyclonic Rift, we'll get Kykar back into our hand. They're now up to 17 cards thanks to the Regal Force. Now an Earthcraft. Tap an untapped creature you control to untap a basic land, so that is a lot of mana they can generate there. And there's that land that we knew they hadn't played yet. So let's see if they use some zombies with Summoning Sickness to untap some lands. Looks like that's what they're doing. And I imagine we're going to see the Agent of Treachery here. A Craterhoof Behemoth from our opponent. Alright, we'll wait until combat because we want that Earthcraft off the table. Because they could generate a lot of mana in response, so it's double Craterhoof triggers with a bunch of zombies in play. We'll wait until the beginning of combat, and there we are. They can untap an island with Earthcraft and still counter something that we do here, so we're not out of the woods yet. But there we are, we'll go for the Cyclonic Rift and see if we can try and eke out a victory, but I really don't think that we're going to. Yeah, untapping some blue mana, and with the 14 cards in hand, I dare say they have a counter spell. Or maybe not, maybe they're just untapping the lands to play some stuff out next turn. No, they are hard casting a Force of Will. So they're not even exiling a blue card from hand. They're just deciding to hard cast Force of Will. I don't think they have an unlimited hand size, do they? No. Anyway, our opponent is going to get us well and truly here. We'll say good game to them. Good to see a powerful Yarok the Desecrated deck. I don't think I've seen a weak one yet. But that was a fun one to play. Oh, a minus 279, 43 commander damage. That is the most damage I've been dealt with the final blow in a long, long time. Hope you all enjoyed that one. That was Kykar wins Fury against Yarok the Desecrated. I'm tribalkai on the EDH channel. Thank you for watching.